Hi everybody, Cris Sgrott-Wheedleton with Organizing Maniacs here. And this month we're going to talk about this book, Delivered from Distraction. I have read this book probably 3 different times, and I have a ton of notes in it. And just to be fair, I want to disclaim that we could be here for hours talking about this book, and to honor your time with the book club, I'm going to try to keep it short as it possibly can be. But I highly recommend this book to anyone. If you have thought to have ADD, this is a good book to read. If you have been recently diagnosed with ADD and you have no idea what to get started, this is a great book to get started with. And if you have had ADD and you have struggled with it for a long time and you have resisted getting support, this may be a great place to get started. It has a lot of really good tips, a lot of suggestions, a lot of resources. It is about 377 pages of nothing but ways to be better and to live your fullest life with ADD. So a couple of disclaimers. I am going to use the word ADD and ADHD interchangeably, just because there is a lot of confusion in the industry about what it is to be ADD, what it is to be ADHD, but there's also a lot of cohesion in the fact that the words should be one and the same. When I say he or she, I mean everybody. The majority of our clients are women, but we also work with a lot of men that have ADHD or ADD. And a lot of our clients have found this book really helpful. It is a very lengthy book, and I'm assuming that the majority of people that have ADD are probably not going to want to sit and read through 377 pages. However, there's so much information just on the first chapter. If you can get through just to that, you'll probably get a good amount of information, then you can come back to it. And like I said, I have had this book for a real long time, and I have read it 3 different times. I did read it from cover to cover, both the 3 times that I have read it. But every time I read it, I learn something new, and I gather new information, and I get more educated about it. So one last disclaimer. So I am not a psychologist, a therapist. I don't have any certifications to diagnose people. What I am is a professional organizer that for the last 10 years has specialized in working with clients with brain-based conditions. So the majority of my clients are ADD, ADHD, OCD, and hoarding, and all of that shows up in ADD. And I have been very lucky to learn from people hands-on as I was trying to help them figure out better systems to be more organized. And my clients are very generous with what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what has some of the struggles been in the past. And I've been able to use a lot of that information to help lots of people to be more organized. So if you want, I'm going to give a lot of resources in the notes for this video in our book club summary. If you don't already get our book club summary, you can go on our website, OrganizingManiacs.com, and sign up. Every month we review a book, and then we give you a book summary. But anyways, so in this book, it talks about ADD and the process that people go through in order to be diagnosed, and there are lots of strategies to work with. So ADD is a name for a collection of symptoms, positive and negatives. And I had so many notes that I had to create a PowerPoint, so I hope it's not going to get annoying to you that I look back and forth, but that's what I'm doing. For many people, ADD is not just a disorder or a trait, it's a way of life. I have so many clients that really embrace their creativity and their love and their sense of humor and the fact they're late all the time, and they just make that part of their lives. And you definitely have to find your tribe and the people that love you and accept you and understand who you are in your home, in your family, at work. But we have definitely worked with a ton of successful people that have ADD that have figured out how to do that, and we help people accommodate for those things as well. So having Dr. Hallowell and Ratney says in the book that having ADD is like having a turbocharged race car. And I have to say, that is one thing I totally understand, because I do tend to speed, and I don't have an extremely powerful car, but I can only imagine if I did, how terrible that would be. I would basically not be able to get car insurance. But people would, if you don't understand how your brain works, it can be used for evil, right? So understanding how your ADD comes about and what that does to your work, to your family, to your work life, to your personal life, to your friends, it's extremely important. And the more you understand how your brain works, the better off you're going to be. The DSM-5 defines ADD by a set of 18 symptoms. And honestly, when I was reading this book the very first time, I was like, oh my God, I have ADD. But no, you really, you may or may not. I don't. However, if you think you may have ADD, you should pursue formal diagnosis. Don't just wake up thinking like, oh my God, I am ADD, and just start going through the process where you may just, you may just be like me, a person that your brain basically doesn't stop. But I can wrap a lot of those loops up, and I know exactly where I'm at in the process. So a great resource if you do have ADD is CHAD, and they have an incredibly robust website with a lot of resources. They have a lot of local chapters that one can join and become more active at understanding how you can help your ADD. They teach a ton of classes. They have a yearly conference, which I am going to be speaking at the one in Atlanta in the fall of 2017. I'm going to speak on time management. So if you are not familiar with them, I highly recommend you look up their website and get involved immediately. So on the positive note, people with ADD have great gifts, right? If you are a person with ADD, we tend to meet a lot of people though that feel that they don't have any talents. They have been beat down and beat up by their workers, their friends, their family. Everybody doesn't understand why they can't show up on time, why they can't finish their tasks, why they're always, behind, why they can't just be like other people. And so I like to take a minute to celebrate all of the amazing qualities that our clients have that do have ADD. They tend to be very original, they're very creative, they have a lot of charisma, energy, they're very lovely people, they're very attentive, they have a great sense of humor, which I personally like because I'm a funny girl. They have intellectual brilliance. I mean, I have conversations with my clients that I'm like, wow, I'm way out of my league in this conversation. And they basically carry me through it, and we come up with great systems and great insight to what's happening to them and how they can better be organized. And a lot of spunk, right? Who doesn't like people spunky? So let's celebrate those things about the people around us that have ADHD. A funny story, yesterday I got a call from a very young woman, and she was married to a very brilliant man, runs an international business, and clearly very successful at his business. And she did say to me, how can a man run a successful international business but can't keep their home life together? And one of her requests, which I thought it was funny because she sounded very young and I could tell their marriage was they hadn't been married for a real long time. She says, can't you just give me some husbandly friendly systems? And I try to explain to her in a very lovely way that, sometimes you have to understand people and you have to accommodate for their personalities, and you do have to take some of the good with some of the bad. And in her situation, she was trying to change her husband in a way that was probably never going to happen. She unfortunately didn't hire me, and I totally get that. I think I am not an advocate to just changing people. I believe in changing the systems that people have in order to be more organized, because you're never going to change who you are. So for me to attempt to change you, it's completely a waste of your time and resources, and it would be frustrating for me as an organizer, because I understand that I'm going to give you the most perfect system because I want to change you, and then I'm going to leave, and 2 weeks later you're going to call and say, hey, that Cris girl took my money and I'm still disorganized, right? So whenever you're trying to change people, you should keep that in mind. And even about yourself, I think sometimes we work with people and they're like, oh, if you just give me lots of bins and lots of storage and lots of label, I'm gonna be more organized. And that 95% of the time is not the true assessment of the situation, right? Evaluating the systems for what they really are is much more important than just adding containers and bins and things that are probably not going to help you be more organized. So I get calls from people all the time that say like, oh, I'm ADD. And I was like, have you been diagnosed? And they are like, no, I just think I am. And that's great. But there's a lot of overdiagnosis and misdiagnosis. And he talks about that in the book. So once again, if you think you may have ADD, I would highly recommend pursuing a real diagnosis, because that'll be helpful to you if you know for sure. That has been helpful to some of my clients to know for sure. It may not necessarily be helpful to you, but I think sometimes knowing is better than not. But ADHD impacts about 5 to 8% of the US population, and that's roughly about 25 million people. And that's a lot of people with ADD walking around that may or may not know that they are impacted by that. ADD comes with some common conditions, and that's dyslexia, learning differences, depression, substance abuse, anxiety disorder, and bipolar disorder. So we see a lot of that with our clients, which then exacerbate the process of like feeling bad about oneself and not being able to come up with ways to solve the problem at hand. Somebody once told me that if you knew somebody that had diabetes, you wouldn't just say to them, hey, just get over your diabetes, right? And just get better at it, just like that. We sometimes tend to do that with people with ADD. ADD is not something that people can just get over it. It's something that you have to accommodate for on your everyday life. So my one really big takeaway from this book, and I think I've been reading a lot of mindfulness books, and this book was written a long time ago. I can't tell you exactly how old this book is. I think the first edition came out in 2005, so that's about 12 years. But he talked about how we are very much disconnected, and people with ADHD are even more disconnected from people around them. So my suggestion is to connect with people that understand who you are, and connect with service providers like therapists and psychologists, coaches, and organizers. All of us can help you on your path to becoming a better version of you without feeling bad about who you are and your ADHD. I would recommend telling your friends and your family if they understand how your brain is operating, if you explain it to them what's happening. With time, they'll develop compassion. Don't use it as a crutch, as an excuse for like being late all the time or for not doing the things that you're going to do. But at least they will understand that you're not doing it on purpose to them, right? This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with the situation, how your brain is working. So in the book, and I'm going to finish with this, in the book he talks about the 7 habits of highly affected ADD adults. And I'm going to share that with you. 1 is do what you're good at. I don't know how many times I meet with people and they're trying to do things that they completely suck at, and they're really trying to fit that box, that box into the round and the square hole, and that's never going to work. You're always going to fail at it. I think I mentioned in the past, my husband, who owns bubblehouse.com, is a very super creative person, and he makes these beautiful displays. And if you asked him to organize for a living, he would just stab himself in the eye. And if you asked me to be in the garage creating things out of wood, I would stab myself in the eye, right? So we should do the things that we're really good at. And neither of us have ADD, but it's just a good philosophy for life. Try to figure out what you do that you really love and that you're good at, and then pursue that. Delegate where you're not good at. I mean, sometimes I think we struggle to just hire out some of these things that we're just really, really struggling with. And my friend Manar tells me it's always easier than it appears. So she just told me that this morning. Whenever we think that it's going to take so much time, it's going to cost so much money, sometimes it's just always simpler than we make it out to be. So delegate what you suck at. Connect your energy to creative outlet. I personally like biking and walking and reading. So sometimes I try to take time to do those things that are important to me that are not necessarily productive or work related. And when I work with people with ADD, they are so stressed and they're so trying to, get those projects accomplished. They're all hyper focused and they're just running themselves ragged trying to get things accomplished. So give yourself the time to work and then give yourself the time to be creative and be at play. And get well enough organized. I totally agree with what he said there. I do have one caveat to this suggestion is that I believe in creating really good systems. And so I work with people sometimes that have, all of the bins and all of the tchotchkes and all of the stuff that they just think they want or need. And sometimes the solution is really to simplify and simplify. Hey, did I say simplify? Simplify your systems in a way that you can maintain it. The more steps you have to any system, the less likely you ever to accomplish it. And I'll say that again. The more steps any system will have, the less likely you are to maintain it and accomplish it. So keep it simple, people. Ask for help. Like I said, create a network of psychologists and therapists and coaches and organizers and friends and people that you can call on and buddies that you can call on that can help you get things accomplished in a way that makes you feel good about yourself. And make sure that you have regular contact with friends. Like I said, Chad has a lot of, has local chapters. There are a lot of local support groups. Start your own meetup. Meet up with other people that are like-minded and that have the same challenges that you do. And hopefully you'll be able to make accountabilities with people that will help you, one, laugh and have a good time, but also become more accountable and become better at navigating these challenges that you have and how do you become more organized, how you become more timely, how you do things in a way that honors who you are, but it also honors the rest of the world that is always on time, because we don't like late people. Go with your positive side. I think I work with people all the time and I see their struggles. I don't know the last time that they have thought about something positive about themselves. And so I'm going to challenge you to leave a comment and tell me something positive about yourself that you're really proud of. So just to wrap it up, on page 179, he says, no matter how old a person is, if she has ADD, she has more talent than she thinks she has. Take it for an opportunity to make it a better life. And I totally agree with that. I think if you were born with one arm, or if you have diabetes, or if you have a lifelong challenge, we wouldn't say just get over it. We would say, hey, okay, this is an opportunity to embrace who we really are, and it's a chance to embrace who we really are, and it's a chance for growth. So I hope you learned something. Leave me some comments once again with one quality that you feel really proud of, that you feel like makes you a standout person. And if you need some support, you can find us at OrganizingManiacs.com. I will see you next month. Thanks. Bye.